We are following some breaking news in Washington following a high-stakes phone call between President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin over the war in Ukraine. In a statement out moments ago, the White House says, quote, the movement to peace will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire. This morning's hour-and-a-half call was the first known conversation between the two leaders since Ukraine backed a U.S. proposal for a 30-day ceasefire. The conversation also comes after President Trump said he and Russia were discussing dividing up, quote, certain assets of Ukraine. Notably absent from that call, Ukrainian President Zelensky, who has accused Russia of prolonging the war to extract more concessions from the United States. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell joins us now with the latest from Washington. So, Kelly, what can you tell us about what was worked out on this phone call?
Well, there's a lot more for us to learn. The initial statements coming from the White House and a separate one from the Kremlin sort of reflect different priorities. And there is certainly a sense that this was a productive meeting in terms of the president's objectives, having this call with Putin, talking about getting agreement from Putin, who had prior to this call said that he had a lot of questions and concerns about a potential ceasefire. So he was opening the door, but had not embraced and locked on to the president's plan. So perhaps more movement here. The White House saying that there will be ongoing discussions to work out additional details, and that will transpire very soon in the Middle East, and that would typically be at a level below the president's. We've seen how both countries have had their teams trying to work toward this. What we don't know is exactly what they have agreed to. The topic areas include focusing on energy, and certainly on the White House side, they'd like to see some movement from Russia to stop any attacks that could affect the movement of goods and so forth. So, could there be progress here? It seems like this is something the president wanted to achieve. The big questions: will Vladimir Putin follow through? Will he agree? And were there any things agreed to that we have not been told in the public statements that will have significant ramifications? Certainly, President Zelensky has been concerned about Putin's history of not following through in these kinds of agreements. Sinclair?
And Kelly, to the point of Zelensky, what happens next? Do we have a sense of if or when President Trump will speak with President Zelensky?
He has invited that to happen again in general response to questions where we've asked him about the status of his relationship with President Zelensky. We all remember there was that tense meeting in the Oval Office a few weeks back. This is a contrast to what the Biden administration had done, where they had used the mantra, nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. Clearly today, the Putin-Trump meeting is separate from Ukraine, and so certainly providing Ukraine a description of what went on from the U.S. point of view would be a part of what the envoys and so forth would do. But it certainly matters a great deal to the people of Ukraine about the outcome here.